Runaway ship. Black screen. Chiron, inspired by true events. Fade in. The sound of water crashing. Moving back on either side of the black, there is water. It's the bow of a ship. Pulling back more, it's the biggest container ship you have ever seen cutting through water. Interior meeting room, San Francisco day. Several rows of chairs on either side of the room are filled with 30 smiling people. Ted Howard, male, 40, heavy-shouldered, not unattractive, tall, stands front and center, plagued by self-doubt, yet thinks he has a built-in mechanism of what's right and wrong.
Finally made it to the big time.
The room lights up with laughter. He pulls out a handkerchief, wipes his brow, rubs his wedding band with his thumb.
What it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I've heard it said in these rooms to wait for...
He's emotional and stops. He catches a box of tissues tossed to him.
Wait for a miracle. And I never really took it seriously. Darn hay fever.
There's a light chuckle. He blows his nose.
8 months ago, I was just another sailor looking for a ship.
Flashback. Exterior, Harrison Street. Sailors Union of the Pacific. SF. Day. It is a bright sunny day for new beginnings. The taxi stops. Ted looks fit, wearing jeans and a black canvas coat with hood. He pays the driver and exits. Ted turns and looks up at the Sailors Union of the Pacific etched in stone on the large building, and he enters. Interior, Sub Hall, Harrison Street, San Francisco day. It's an enormous space with a 100-foot-high ceiling. The back wall has a long row of chairs. In the rear, men sit at a table playing cards. Ted sees the large dispatch board with many ship names. Across the top of the board reads, Bosun, Able Seaman, Watch Standard, Dayman, Ordinary Seaman. Next to the ACL Singapore reads Bosun Relief. Below the dispatch board is a 30-foot-long counter, and behind it stands Andy, male, 68. Andy, a sailor, is Norwegian with a Brooklyn accent. He smiles easy, wears short sleeves, with old-style, uncolored sailor tattoos of shapely girls and ships. Andy looks up and smiles as Ted moves towards the counter.
Hey, Ted, got something for you.
Andy motions to the big board.
See it?
Ted looks up, seeing Bosun Relief, and remains neutral.
Bosun Relief.
Right.
Me? Heck no, man, I never sailed bosun.
You're a senior able seaman with plenty of experience, not just some guy off the street.
Andy points with his chin to the men in the back.
See all those guys back there? You got them all beat.
I don't have a bosun stamp.
Ted has his SUP union book in hand.
Let me see it.
Ted sets a small booklet in front of Andy. Andy reaches below, pulls out an ink pad, hits it with a stamp, opens to the back of the book, stamps it, takes out a pen, and signs it.
You do now.
Andy hands the book back to Ted, catching his breath. Is stunned. Andy sees this.
You'll do fine. You know your job. You know the run. A 45-day relief trip around the loop. No big deal.
Well,
Don't forget the job calls at 9.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Andy gives Ted a knowing nod, turns and walks off. Ted stands taller, more confident. He studies the card for a second. The wall clock reads 8:30. Ted walks towards Jean, male, 40. Jean is a motorcycle gang member, tough as nails with an easy edge, wearing a leather vest with gang colors and facial tattoos. Interior of Sub Hall, Harrison Street, San Francisco day. Jean smiles. Ted looks at his wristwatch. The wall clock reads 8:59.
Time to go be somebody.
And keep the wolves from the door.
They move towards the counter. Interior, counter, Sub Hall, Harrison Street, San Francisco day. Andy is front and center. The clock strikes 9, and Andy bellows in a loud, booming voice.
I need one relief bosun for the ACL Singapore.
2 sailors, along with Jean and Ted, step forward. One by one, they throw down their shipping cards. Andy picks up the cards. He studies each one carefully and turns towards Ted.
You made it.
Ted smiles, and his neck stiffens.
Oh, man.
Andy smiles, takes Ted's card, and slips it into an old-style Avaletti typewriter. The slow finger-pecking clicks reverberate throughout the hall. Andy stops. He pulls out the yellow slip of paper from the roller and hands it to Ted.
Turn 2 is 0800.
Andy lights a cigarette and smiles.
Don't let me down.
I won't forget this.
45 days from now, I want a full report.
Andy takes Ted aside in private.
One more thing. Another incident with the booze, and I'm not going to be able to help. And the Coast Guard's going to yank your papers.
Got it. I'm on a dry dock.
Good for you. That's what I like to hear.
Ted turns toward the exit door, joined by Jean.
Join me for a pump?
Ted smirks.
Jesus, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Jean smiles and chuckles.
Wow, not just an able seaman, but in charge of the deck gang.
Exterior pier, container terminal, Oakland, day. A shuttle bus passes an old parked red van. Jean shuts the back door of the van and carries his bag. The shuttle bus stops and the door opens.